Good afternoon, Nkosi Talk Shows family. It's Nomsa here at Nkosi Talk Shows. Find your own voice, lead from within. So with me today, I'm with Carol Ann Cooper. How are you, Carol Ann?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good. I'm bouncing back up.
Awesome, awesome,
Yeah.
awesome. So the topic
Mm.
today is when safety lives in the body, healing beyond words. For the last 4 episodes, we've been courageous. We named school trauma. We spoke about EBSA. We examined the parental power. We confronted forced compliance. We reimagined education. We told the story, but today is different. Today is not about identifying harm. Today is about restoring self, because here's what we now understand. Trauma is not only a story in the mind. It is a state in the nervous system. It lives in the body and self. Self must live there too. So this today's video, we're going to um, share the secret pivot from explore and embodiment, from awareness to restoration, from what went wrong to what heals. We are moving forward beyond words. We are moving into felt self. So I'm going to let Carol Ann, guys, take over this topic, um, to share with us what was on in her mind when she actually created this topic. There must be something that motivated beyond this.
Yes, because it's like mm, we were we've talked about the things that you've mentioned, and that was where we were sort of talking about the harm. And what I want to do today is move into actually how can we build safety? Because what we realize is that the nervous system in the body doesn't feel safe. So it's exploring that and helping people to move from survival to regulation, from fear to feeling safe, from pressure, because they've been pressurized to go to school. And there's that pressurized, to comply, to actually being present. So having some presence to what actually is going on for them and how can their nervous system be regulated so that they feel safe. It's about being in the body and not just talking about healing, but about embodying it. So this is about embodying this experience. So we're actually going to shift the focus from how do we make children comply to how do we help their bodies feel safe enough to heal, learn, and grow without force. Because you don't need force. Just like, okay, so let's explore how is that possible? Because I think we're brought up with that, got to force your way through it. You've got to make people do it. If they're not doing what you want, then you force them. That it's like this force. They have to do it. They have to comply. Well, it doesn't need to be like that. There is a much softer way. And so, first of all, it's looking at, well, why words alone aren't enough. Try and reason with a child. You try and reason with them, you try and talk to them, but actually they're not able to access the language. And I think we've shared a bit of this before in one of the other episodes, because if they're anxious, they're experiencing trauma and they're shut down, they're not actually in the part of the brain where you can access language. They're shut down in the reptilian part of the brain, which is just fight and flight. It's survival mode. You actually have no access to language when you're operating from that part of the body, from the brain, sorry. And the body's shut down and there's either no movement or they're just running away or they're fighting because it is pure survival. And words just don't go through. So it's like, very often they're told, just calm down, calm down. It's not that they can't process the words. So it's like it's going in and going straight out, or it's not even going in because maybe even their ears are not hearing. It's just noise. So the words can't go in, they can't process it. They're not really seeing clearly because their eyes aren't working properly. And the brain, that fight flight part of the brain has taken over their arms, their legs, their, everything else. So they have no control over what they're doing. So words are not enough. And so it's being able to give them an experience whereby it softens. So this is what we're talking about here. And you can't take a child out of a state their body feels trapped in. So from that point, have you sort of maybe you felt some moments, Nomsa, where just being present, or there's a tone or an energy that mattered more than words? Have you ever experienced that?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it's I think you will have to. I like the way when you say being in the body, feeling you feel safe enough when you are in your body, and to help these children heal, learn without forcing them to do anything. If they are anxious, because if someone is anxious, they shut down, they can't talk to you. So when you force them to learn, it means they go to survival mode to protect themselves. And in order for you to get their soul out of that normal mode, out of survival mode, for them to get out of anxious and be normal, that needs a hard work. The words, when you say the words are not enough, they are not enough, that means you have to come up with a system that can work with them. Normally, when we do that, Pastor James does prayer to get people out, like prayer and fasting, like to get them out their soul, because he says the moment the body, like if your feelings and your body don't agree with what you're doing, you go into that anxious mood, and then your soul is locked up somewhere because you're trying to protect yourself. You want to feel safe. You don't want to get hurt. So the more you leave it there, so it means the part of your soul will be left in locked up in different places. And I've seen it with myself, like when I'm fasting
Mm.
now, praying, there are times where I have to call myself, and I will see myself like my soul. I think I've locked it up somewhere and it's decided to go to sleep. And that means as part of my intelligence that has left me, that has been locked up.
Mm.
So when I bring it back, that means I find I find there's a part of me that I didn't realize about me that I can, the things that I can do. So I keep bringing myself back. Sometimes I'm like, why am I sleeping there? And sometimes I see myself waking up, or sometimes I just call some of my family and friends, and I see them waking up, and I'm like, this world is like, because we we are protecting ourselves, and just by talking to someone or trying to force them to do something, I think it's just making things worse.
Absolutely. And you were saying about anxious shutdown and, that not able to get through. It reminded me of the time I actually learned about the primitive reflexes, and the very first one, which is the fear paralysis reflex. And this very often, if that reflex gets triggered, then they go silent, they freeze, they literally cannot speak. And I remember thinking, as I was being taught this, I remember all the children that I sort of said, why won't you answer me? They can't, literally, they can't. And I was like, oh my goodness, what was I doing? But I didn't know until that point. So this is where we've said in previous episodes, there's no point beating yourself up. It's about learning now to be able to move forward. They can't talk literally because this reflex, and I think this is what they often refer to as the freeze reflex. They just go mute. They just cannot talk. And so it's enabling them to just feel safe so that they can then relax. And I love what you said about prayer being that connection and helping. That's one of the tools that is really powerful. And I love joy. Yeah, part of you is just gone, gone. And that is really what it's like. It's a part of you is left because they don't feel safe and
Yeah.
you're not in your body. So this is what it's about. It's about bringing you back into your body so that all of you is in your body. And I know it wasn't till I started training in brain gym, educational kinesiology, touch for health, and all some other fields that I started to get in touch with my body and realized how much of my life I had been out of my body. I was in dreamland most of the time, not really awake, but there were moments of wake up. Then those are moments that I can now remember because it's like, oh, well, I was actually awake in that moment. The rest is a blur. A lot of it's a blur. But as I started to come into my body, I started to feel differently, think differently. And it is about feeling safe in the body so that you can come back in. You can have access to words and be able to speak and communicate and hear what actually is going on around you and what people are saying and be able to respond, not react. That's the difference. And so what does feeling safe, what does that look like? How does that sort of come about? What's come about? How is it experienced? Well, what happens is you actually, because you're in fight flight, there's tension in your body that very often people live with that tension all their life. They don't realize that they're in that state all the time. And actually to feel safe and to come into the body, your muscles just relax. There's a relaxing going on. It's like, oh, and the number of times that I've experienced that release and I'm going, oh, how much more can I relax? How much more is going to give and soften in this body? And we just don't know. The more I do, the more I discover there's more to do. But your breathing also slows down. And what happens is you can actually then have eye contact because you'll very often find that they cannot look at you. So it's being able to have that eye contact. And learning becomes accessible again because there's curiosity, there's playfulness, there's creativity. They're here, they're present. So all of that becomes available. So I like this quote here: when a child feels safe in their body, behavior doesn't need to be controlled. It just naturally changes. So it is about having those experiences. Have you ever experienced that sort of level of shift when you've felt safe, when your body's felt safe? Have you noticed the change, Namsa?
Yes. Um, I think when you actually um, if you actually like most of the time, like I've seen it when if I tell my daughter off and then she's respond like with like, mommy, don't shout at me. I'm like, I did not shout at you. I was talking normal. She goes, yeah, but I'm here. I'm like, but you're ignoring me. So you can see that she gets into the anxiety and then she comes down and things like that. But I think it's really, really important, like what you say, Carol, and that when someone goes into anxiety and they can't respond when they looked up their feelings, they then go into a mute mode where they unmute themselves. It's because sometimes the children, they don't see a point, because I speak to children a lot. Like I'll be like, how is school and stuff? You hear them
Mm.
saying, oh, sometimes if I'm not naughty, they think that I'm naughty, but I'm trying to communicate something, and then I get to put in a naughty place with naughty children. And sometimes there's no point. So I'm like, okay, I might as well be naughty so I can go and take a break. Because sometimes they don't listen. Because I think there are some adults sometimes who treat children as they don't have feelings.
Mm.
So because I feel that you don't have feelings, you will do as I say. And when I say it and I don't care about how you're going to do, I always say to Kayla's daddy sometimes when he speaks to Kayla, I'm like, do you realize that she has feelings? And I will be like, we are adult. She will do what she's been told. I'm like, that's not how it works. Don't do
Mm.
as you told. You explain to a child so they can understand you. And when you do that, you leave a room to say, whenever they have problems, then they can come back and talk to you. Because otherwise, they say, I'm scared of my dad, I'm scared of my mom. So that means a child shouldn't feel that way. They need to come and talk to you when there is opportunity for them to do so. And if they are not okay, you then have to find out why they are not okay. Um, Not trying to force things out. Sometimes
Mm.
I when Kella was dancing, there was this girl, she was doing drama, and she was like doing like something like a comedy. She was like, sometimes parents, when you get home, they ask you, how was school? They don't really want you to tell them the truth. They want you to tell them what they want to hear, the wonderful things. When you tell them that, wow, I had to put up with my teacher. Her armpits were smelly, and I have to do that. Or her
Mm.
mouth was smelly. I had to put up with it when she was talking in front of me. They don't want to hear that all those kind of things. They want to hear how wonderful the studies were
Mm.
and stuff, and that's like, actually,
Yeah.
that is true. But
And that's a shame, isn't it? That
yeah,
they can't actually speak out the truth or feel they can't,
yeah,
because that, in a sense, maybe they don't feel safe to speak that truth out, or they're actually thinking, as you just said, that's not what is wanted to be heard. And so therefore they're actually learning to shut down their truth and for speak what they think somebody else wants to hear. And
yeah.
that's
Because with my
mm.
daughter, when she's doing homework, I will say, 10 minutes and then your homework, what do you think? And she'll say, she'll add 2 minutes on top. And then her dad will be like, don't give her choice. And I'm like, yes, I have to. Why? Because I have to prepare her mind. I can't say,
Mm.
it's homework now, now.
Yeah,
But sometimes she tricks me
yeah,
because I say 10 minutes and then she'll look at me and I'm busy and they end up being half an hour. So meaning if
mm,
I say 10 minutes, I have to set the alarm to remind me. So
Mm.
I always have this awareness treating my children as like normal people, like because they're normal. Like I would like people to communicate with me.
Mm.
And sometimes it doesn't always work, but I think it's important to make someone truly, truly, truly understand where, and like to say to them, I understand, I hear you. I might not be able to take away the pain or to help, because at the end of the day the child has to be wanting to help, but sometimes the children, they don't know how. So which is why you have to be patient when it comes to children. I one day, I don't know what I was doing, and one of the spirit came in and said, you have patience of a lifetime. I don't think I can do this with you. Because I sort of try to understand why people are doing the things that they're doing,
Mhm.
and putting them in, like, put myself in their own shoes, and like, if I couldn't understand what's going on with myself, that will frustrate me, and that will
Mm.
cause so much pain. So I just have to understand those things, that we're all different. But when it comes to children, like the teachers, when they go to school, and the parents, they expect them to figure things out, what is going on straight away. Like if a child is not doing that, is not doing that, they got to do it. They got to do this. I'm like, that's not how it works. Psychologically, when you, if you want someone to get healed, your emotions, because sometimes we don't understand about emotions, people can feel your feelings. So you
Mhm.
have to go with the in a place where I hear you, I want you to get better. Because for me, when I was going through sacrifice, I've seen my family how they are like with each other. My family are these people that will be there for each other. But when I was going through pain, they didn't want to listen to what I was going through. I think God wanted me to realize that if I want them, if I try to make them understand, they will not understand. But the only person who could understand my pain, it was my mom. I could say that she can understand my
Mm.
pain
Mm.
because she gave birth to me. I could see that she was like helpless. She wanted to help me, but she couldn't. So God now was showing me that the only person that can help you is you, not anybody else. I can help you, and you need to help yourself.
Mm.
So I ended up removing everybody. I mean, everyone, because they were not showing up authentic. They were showing up like, it's like when you come to me, like you have a problem, I want you to get over it. Like this is what I want. I'm not, I don't care about your feelings. I'm like, Carol, and get over it now and stuff. So they didn't, it's like they didn't want to listen to the journey what I was going through. It's like to them it's shut down. It's like we don't want to hear it. There's
Mm.
no one in the family that can try to say, even though the person that was doing it was in the room, and I could not say it, because God was like, you cannot tell until this person you stand in truth, you leave, they will be forced by my spirit of truth to come forward and tell everyone what they did. So I had to, even that person was there, I had to shut up. I had to keep
Okay.
quiet. Yeah, I had to keep quiet. But then I realized that people are not authentic. And I don't do that to my children, Carol. And for me, it was eye-opening.
Mm.
And I think by doing that, it made me realize that if I want my children to succeed, I'm gonna have to be openly leave the door of you can say anything, you can talk to me. If you don't feel okay, I got to understand that you don't feel okay, but I can't take away the pain. You have to work it out. You have to, my job is there to listen and try to undo. But with prayer, I've realized that God can undo anything. There are
Mm.
some people who don't believe in prayer.
Okay. So there's other things that they can do. And actually, it's amazing how, for me, when I discovered educational kinesiology and brain gym, although I had a strong faith and a belief, it's like it's deepened. There's more spiritual connection has come. The more I've come into my body and felt that connection, there's a much stronger belief. Um, but it is what you were saying about listening and some of the sort of things that you can do to help children, as I was saying, that words aren't going to get in. Words are just not going to get there. And actually going, before I continue with that, you said something about someone saying being naughty and are put into the naughty corner. But they then knew that by being naughty, they would get put in there. And for them, that was okay. It's like something they wanted. So they knew how to get there. But that word naughty, even when my children were growing up, I never used it because I realized that they're not being naughty. They're just doing actions that you don't like. But what they're doing is they're testing boundaries. They're finding out about the world. And it just so happens that it's something that you don't like or that isn't actually workable in that moment. And it's about being able to explain to them when they are calmer and can hear you why it's not appropriate at that time or that behavior isn't acceptable. But it's also listening to them, what caused them to behave in that way. It's being able to quieten the situation down. But certainly that word naughty, they are not being naughty. They are attempting to communicate something to you in the only way they know how. And they're exploring, their world. They're pushing boundaries. So again, we need to change that narrative, change words, and use something that actually opens up the possibility of understanding what is actually going on here. So being able to sit beside them in silence and not speak so that you're actually holding that space can be very calming. And then just matching their breathing is something else that you can do. So that there's like an attunement then happens because, if they're like this, you're you get into tune, and then as you slowly perhaps calm down, they can calm down. But it's like there's a connection that happens, and you're just holding that space in silence, allows for them to work through whatever they're working through. And there are other things like music, rhythm, even humming, because humming is like a sense of vibration through the body. So you can feel your body. So it helps again to bring you into this body. So humming is great, and
Why does the
singing.
humming work? Because I've
You
seen it.
feel that vibration, don't you? Go, you feel sort of there's a vibration that goes through you.
I've seen it even when I listen to gospel singer that is humming like
Mm-hmm.
they're singing hymns.
Mm-hmm.
There's this relief. You get this relief, like
Mm-hmm.
it goes through your body. So I was like,
Mm-hmm.
why does it feel like that?
It's that it enables the body to soften
Okay.
because that tension that's there. If you go, can you actually hold the tension anymore? And it's in that softening that you are then freeing yourself up into coming into that more rational thinking part of the brain and becoming more present and in the moment. Yeah. So things like that. And there's also soft lighting, sensory comforts, things that they like to touch or to get that feels, that sense of touch. But also allowing them to have some control over the pace and timing. So it's actually, well, what do you want to do now? So that they can feel safe. So we're actually helping them to start feeling safe in their body. When perhaps the pace and timing don't work for you, it's being able to bring them into that safe space and feeling safe so that they can hear, so that they can hear something rational and some reason. And you can then talk to them. And I remember when I was head of maths department, and there was a particular pupil that he'd been put outside of the classroom because he was just going off it in the classroom and the teacher couldn't do anything with him. And I'd bring him round into my classroom and I would sit them in something called hookups, which is part of brain gym, educational kinesiology, which is about re-educating the body to move in a more efficient way. And brain gym activities are part of that, and they take away the stress of learning. And hookups is where you just cross the ankles, put the hands out in front with the thumbs to the floor, cross your hands over, interlink the fingers, and then just roll under. And I got a child just to sit in hookups and to breathe and focus on their breathing. And after a while, I was there doing the same thing. And then after a while, it just calmed down. And then went into the second part of that activity, which is feet apart and fingertips together. And again, just focusing on the breathing. But it allows for the emotion to be felt, and then it just dissipates. And that softening of the body that we spoke about takes place. And then I was able to talk with that child and ask them, well, what happened? And then see, give it from the teacher's perspective. And we had a conversation and totally got his part in what went wrong, and was able to then say, okay, he understood that and was able to then go back into the classroom calmly and quietly. But we were able to discuss what happened, and I got to hear his part and he heard me as well. And this is where I'd like to bring in something which I'd mentioned, Brain Gym, and actually acknowledge the founder of Brain Gym here. Oh, because Paul Dennison, who is the founder of Brain Gym, I'd just like to actually take a moment to honor the life and legacy of him, because he passed away at the weekend. And this man's work changed my life, changed my daughter's life, and has changed many people's lives. And he dedicated his life to a simple but revolutionary idea that the body and brain are not separate, and that movement, safety, and integration are essential for learning, healing, and human potential. Long before nervous system regulation and somatic approaches became mainstream, he was already showing that the world that when we support the body, we unlock the mind. And when we reduce stress in the nervous system, we open the door to confidence, creativity, and growth. His work continues to support children, parents, educators, and therapists across the world, reminding us that learning is not meant to be forced, but invited through safety, movement, and connection. Paul Dennison's legacy lives on every time we choose to honor the wisdom of the body, trust the intelligence of the nervous system, and create environments where people can learn without fear. It was when I first started training in Brain Gym that I remember I was being used as an example to show how a balance worked, a particular balance. And I remember my whole body going, wow, I'm being listened to. This person really wants to know what is going on here. And all of a sudden I felt safe. And it's a way that I'd never felt before. Safe with the person who was supporting me. And we were going through this process, this balance with a goal that I'd set. And out of that, all of a sudden, I think it was something about words. Even then, it was like that opening up. And all of a sudden, I just saw words moving. Something shifted around words for me. And I remember thinking, oh, wow, gosh, this has happened. But also through all my trainings, the various trainings that I did, it also brought out the trauma that was stored in the body, experiences that I'd had where trauma got stored because I was in a safe environment and there were activities that I could, like hookups, go into that would allow the body to feel what it was feeling and then let it go. But I was supported in that. So I'd really like to, maybe we could just have a moment here. To reflect and to think and to give gratitude and love and support to Gail Dennison, his wife, his family, and all the educational kinesiology family who are in with this work, and anybody else who's been connected through it, but particularly Gail, who is here now. And just ask the Lord to hold them, and continue with this work, knowing this is what Paul would want. And to share the teachings that he'd, the learnings that he was still diving into. If we could just perhaps have a minute silence, is that okay?
Yep. That's okay indeed. May his family find strength and may his legacy live on. And those that he touched, his family is around the world anyway. You are one of his family that he touched, and may you all find the strength and courage to go on without his presence in this world. And I hope you all guys will continue his work, because it's not just his wife that needs to continue his work, and those who experience his work will have the knowledge. They will have to use that knowledge to teach others, and the same way that he taught is in this world. So he left you guys with a homework today.
Home play. It's called home play.
Home
In
play.
educational kinesiology, we call it home play.
Yeah, he left you guys with home playtime.
Yes. Because he really believed that learning improves when the body is integrated. And it, educational kinesiology, brain gym helps reduce stress, improves coordination, and supports emotional regulation and the nervous system regulation, and helps children and adults access learning through movement. And this was something that I can get over, and I still have this, that they focus on children, on children's learning, and it kept going in there. And for me, it's adults, because me as an adult, I accessed it, and it was my inner child that woke up, that grew up because she felt safe. And so for me, it's also adults to access this work so that inner child can feel safe and grow up, and it supports the learning. And for me also, as a teacher, I know how stressed you get as a teacher, how your own instincts take over. So you're not really in a space of being able to listen to your students. You're shut down. So you get into that control mode. They've got to do what they're told. So for you as a teacher, this is one of the most amazing tools that you could learn. Because for me, it changed everything in my classrooms when I used it. And I used some of them. I didn't use all of them. I used some of them, and the change that happened was amazing. Unfortunately, I met this mountain of resistance, because this was over 26, 27 years ago. And I spent all this time now working myself and clearing the way so it can actually come back in. And because I know the difference it can make. And, we as teachers also need it so that we can be calm. Because there was when I ended up teaching in a post-16 college after I left the school. And there was this one pupil or student, she was completely off it. She had ADHD, was quite proud of it as well. And she was throwing this almighty wobbly in my classroom. And I literally stood beside her in hookups and let her do, her thing. And she eventually calmed down, looked at me and went, "What are you on? Any normal teacher would be angry by now." I
Bless.
just laughed and I went, "I'm just doing hookups." And she just calmed down and got on with her work. One simple activity, but it enabled her to not be labeled as naughty, not for me to be angry, because yes, that's the normal thing. It triggers you when they behave in that way, in what we call the naughty way, the way we don't want them to. It triggers your anger. So you get angry and it spirals out of control. Just by doing that one activity, I was able to just calm everything down, feel any anger I may have had to want to react, and just let it go. And she calmed down too. And I've had many experiences of things like that as well. But that one always sticks in my mind. Her comment, "Oh, yeah,
What are you on?
was she there?" So yeah, when the body is supported, the brain becomes available. How cool is that, eh?
Yeah,
You know, so yeah, children don't need to be fixed. They need environments their nervous system can trust.
yeah,
So
they do. They do need environment where they can trust you, uh, where they feel heard as well, not dismissed. But sometimes we dismiss our children, we push them away. But it's good to actually have that patience and just listen to a child and try to find like you said, you had to talk to this child and find out where are the roots of the problem. And sometimes you might find that just by listening to someone, it can trigger them to change. Like, oh, she gets me, this person. They want to listen to me. So it changes someone's perspective of life, how they think. Um, there was a child that I met. I came out of the office. Sometimes I go to the office and come out later. Sometimes I come out at 11 p.m.
Mm-hmm.
Because the office, like sometimes if I need some peace and quiet, when everyone goes to bed, I just go to the office. So when I came out of the office, there was this girl. She was just sitting there. And I asked her, why are you sitting there? So we started chatting and started chatting. We started chatting. So I said to her, can I take you home now? And she said, yeah, you can take me home. So we chatted, and then I dropped her off at home. And then I said to her, can I have your number? So she gave me a number. I think sometimes it's just trust and not judging someone, because we live in this world where people are very, very easy to judge. They're very easy to assume.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Sometimes it's nice to just listen to someone and not assuming the worst and just understand the story. I have learned this the hard way, Carol, and that sometimes I just need to take my opinions out and my assumptions out and everything that I think it could be happening, and just listen to someone. And I find that it just help a lot.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I love what you've just said there. Take your opinions and thoughts out. It's
Yeah.
just having it's having an open mind, a quiet mind, and listening. Because in that listening, that is the most amazing gift you can give anybody. Because in that silence of your own mind, they get to think, they get to feel safe, they get the chance for their own thoughts and words to come. And I know what that's like, because I can feel when someone isn't listening to me. I lose my words. And that the first time I experienced that and became aware of that was during my an NLP training that I was on. And he had us in pairs, and the exercise was that we would talk to the other, and the other person would listen, actively listen. And then while they were listening, not listen. So turn or move or lose eye contact. And for me, in that immediate moment that the listening went, it was like a knife went straight through. That's how I experienced it. Vroom. And my literally lost my words. And it's like, wow. And from that moment on, I became aware of, oh, okay, there's nothing actually wrong with me. What's happening is this disconnect. I'm not able to find my words. So I've been able to, over the years, realize what that is and then stop or bring some rapport back in, but also know the power of my own listening, of having a quiet mind for that other person. So something you said earlier, actually, I think, about feeling, um, people can feel your feelings. That's right. And that is so true. People can feel your feelings. You may think you're masking it, but actually it's an energy that comes through and they can feel it. So if you're really peaceful, calm, and open, they can feel that. And there's a safety there. Whereas if there's an anxiety going on inside of you, a tension, they feel that. And it's like, oh, what's happening? What's going on with this person? I don't get it. I don't feel safe, and it's all in the body. You can feel it.
Yeah,
So
they,
it's
they
again,
can feel it. That's why they say they say Jesus knows our desires and stuff. I've
yeah.
learned that, and Satan said to me once, "You might as well shut up and not talk because I know what you're going to say before you even say it. I can't even use your mind because your mind you wish people well, but some people don't wish you well." And I was like, I don't care. And he was like,
Yeah.
it was like, just don't talk because just before you talk. So then it made me realize that actually, Bob Proctor, when he used to teach about the thoughts become things,
Mm,
and even the Bible, it says that
hmm
um like God says that he knows the thoughts, or sometimes when we are doing something, when God says no, he knows that that thing is not good for us, or if it's for us, he
mm,
knows what is for us. So then I realize actually is the thoughts that is the thought everything we think about is reality of life.
yeah.
so so sometimes when I see my family go blah blah blah, I'm like shush. Because I know that whatever you say, that thing becomes reality. If it's bad
Mm,
that you wish, it becomes reality. Or if it's
mm,
doubt about something, it becomes a reality. So
yeah.
I just spend my time really working out on whatever universe, whatever God let it be.
Mm,
Because I didn't know how the thoughts until Satan said, you know what, you might as well not say nothing. Because when I'm about to say something, is that you might as well not say something. I think there are times where I had a dream and he was giving me something back, like what he has caged. And he's like, take your thing back, but
hmm
I'm not going to let you slap me because I know you like to have a piece of me and slap me.
Oh,
And it's like, so now I'm like, when I'm very, very careful when
mm,
someone is talking to me, I have to be genuinely be in the present.
yeah.
Because I know that if I'm pretending, I'm not helping that person. Or if I'm talking to my children, or if my children, they are not, whatever, they are not listening or something, I have to approach the situation. But before, I'll be like, I can say whatever I want, I can do whatever I want. But now I'm realizing, no,
Mm,
that's not the right way.
mm,
I just have to not to be careful, because even the words that you don't think, they if you think them and you don't speak them, they're still reality. So I
still an
make
energy
sure,
there. Yeah.
yeah, I make sure my thoughts are real towards people. But before, mm-mm, I'll say what I think about Carol Ann without thinking.
Oh,
So
lovely.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. But even if, as you say, I love that, if you're pretending, there's an energy there because you're pretending. People can feel that you're pretending because you are not present in that
yeah,
moment. You are not fully present. And this is what this work is about getting fully present, being in the body. And that's what educational kinesiology and brain gym is about. That's what prayer is about as well. It enables you to get into the body and be present, totally present. So, been a great discussion. And I think if anybody wants to know more or feels that they'd like to talk and discuss this further, then reach out to us, please. you know, we're here. And I'd like to leave, I think, with a couple of things. Healing doesn't always look like progress. Sometimes it looks like softening. Sometimes it looks a bit like slowing down. And sometimes it looks like letting the body feel safe enough to exhale. We don't realize how much we hold our breath. So just taking a breath and letting it out will help you to realize, whew, and that softening can happen. So just that in itself is progress. There's a letting go happening. And this quote, movement is not a break from learning. It is often the doorway into it. Because as Paul Dennison said, movement is the door to learning. So if they need to get up and move, you feel you need to get up and move. Yeah. It's not just taking a break from learning. It's the doorway into it. So what would you like to leave our listeners with, Namsa?
For me, what I would love to leave you guys is, I know Carol Ann, you said, you mentioned about talking about this person, this child, and getting to the roots of the person. For me, I will leave you guys with this: always listen, be a good listener, because you will never know what your child is going through, and you will never know people around you what they're going through. Without judging, just have that open mind where when someone wants to talk to you, just listen, no judgment, not wanting to give advice, just be there and listen. And sometimes you'll find that it will help a person to actually be able to open up and talk to you. I'm with the Pastor Henry's group, helping these girls and boys and men. And sometimes I get a time where I'm just calling everyone and just being nosy. They call it, I know they call me nosy, but I'm not. And just trying to find out if people are okay. And you'll find that this person's mind will be thinking something that I don't truly expect them to think. And I'm like, why would this person think that way? And then I now have to, but just by talking to them, they end up having different view of life, about themselves and people around them. So I think it's important if we were to take time talking to each other. I think this world will be full of intelligent people.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Compassionate people.
Compassion. Yeah. People with compassion.
Yeah.
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 So
Love it.
we don't get that time of being with each other and
Mm.
just trying to understand what, obviously you can't solve people's problems, but I think when you show people that I'm there, I'm listening, it makes a difference.
Mm.
Like Carol Ann said, everyone, please do get in touch if you feel that there's part of you that you need to talk to us or you need coaching. Uh, Brain physiology, guys, is Carol Ann stuff. Don't contact me about that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Paul's work is Carol Ann stuff. So she does it really good. Me, I haven't got a clue. So, yeah. So just to clarify.
You
Yeah,
just experienced some of the activities with me, haven't you?
yeah, I have
Mm.
done the activities with her.
Yeah.
They work.
Mhm.
really, really well. And I think if I was to do them every day, I would be a very intelligent person. But as we always make excuses, don't have the time, but we do. Yeah. So yeah, if you need coaching, please do get in touch with her, and may God bless you. And go to the website as well if you feel that you want to contact any coach that you connect with. Go to the website. It's www.hseia.coach, and the website is everywhere, guys, on my social media. So even when you type NOMSA, the website comes up. May God bless you and live with grace. I shall see you all tomorrow. Carol Anna will see you next Tuesday.
Next Tuesday.